Hi guys, good morning. I'm here again with another video, and today I wanted to talk about just really kind of take a moment to talk about what we're all going through working from home. A lot of us are transitioning now, working from home, and teaching kids. And I just want to talk about this whole transition that we're all going through right now as a society, and just offer some advice for those of us that are working from home, whether you're working from home by yourself or working from home with kids. Hopefully, I will, in today's video, provide some advice. I'm seeing now these bears. All right, sorry, I had to move some bears out the background. But at any rate, I wanted to talk today just about, so much has been on my heart with everything that's going on. And my heart goes out, first of all, to just everyone, like everyone on the front lines and not on the front lines that is really being affected by this. My family, other than, having to stay home, obviously the change in our routine, having to work from home with our kids. I mean, yeah, it's not the most ideal situation right now, but we're safe, we're healthy, and we are blessed to have a home and kind of a sanctuary to go through all this in, but that's just not the reality for a lot of people. And, I'm thinking about the people who are like, in addition to the nurses, the doctors, the police officers, the fire department crews, um, just oh my gosh, teachers right now, students, seniors in high school, people who are having weddings, wedding planners, wedding businesses, photography businesses, just like I don't know. I'm just thinking about the biggest of pictures, and it just saddens me. And all the people that are losing lives, and people who are losing loved ones, young and old. Because the reality is, here in Detroit, where I am from, we're losing a lot of young people. You know, it's crazy because before I got here, I really thought that, oh, this is something that attacks older people with horrible immune systems. Like, those are the ones that this disease attacks, but it's not the case, at least here. I don't know how it's looking. Let me know how it's looking where you're living in the comments. But here in Detroit, right now, it is not looking good, and it doesn't seem to discriminate. you know, I still didn't take my nails off because they're too tight, but I ordered some stuff on Amazon. But at any rate, it's really bad out here. And so, I was listening to another one of my fellow YouTubers, Secretary of Shade, and he suggested, we need like a national mental health day. These employers and everything with this whole, like, now, in addition to this virus, we're all working from home. We're all working from home. And we really, I mean, the trauma that we're all going through, whether it's just from the news, being inundated with negative news, bad news all day, and just the reality of knowing that you're at home all the time, nowhere to go. Yesterday, my daughter and I went for a drive just to Belle Isle. Anyone knows, like, Belle Isle's kind of like our park. It's like downtown Detroit. It's about 30 minutes from my house. But we went there, just drove around, and she didn't really appreciate it. My daughter's 5 or 6. I'm sorry, she just turned 6. She's 6. I just loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, the things we took for granted just on that drive, like just seeing the water. It's right off of Belle Isle. If you don't know, it's right off of the Detroit River. It's a little isle. It's like a little island literally off of the water between Detroit and Canada. It's just beautiful. It's really beautiful. And yesterday, people were, despite COVID, people were riding bikes, walking. It wasn't super crowded there, but it was just like nice, pleasant. I was a little too frightened to get out of the car, so we drove around, and we did get out for a moment with our masks on. And I let my daughter take pictures and everything, and she wanted to see the fountain, so we did that. But yeah, other than that, it was like literally nowhere to go. It's crazy. And then it's also crazy seeing the playgrounds taped up, with the yellow tape. That's crazy. And so, it's really traumatic. It's traumatic. It's traumatic being a parent, because I'm thinking like, wow, this is something else. Like, raising kids right now. It is something else. So, there's all of that. Then there's like, in Detroit, it's getting really close to home. People, I have several people that I know that who have lost loved ones. When I go on my timeline or my feed or my cell phone and I look at my text messages, I see nothing but people who are, coming down with the disease or have the illness, or people who are passing away. And it's so quick. It's like we're not even able to take it all in. And then people aren't able to have funerals properly right now. And I mean, because you can't be close, you can't connect with your loved ones. There's that part about all of this. It is really a lot. And now let's move into what my video today is about, working from home. I already was kind of working from home. I had the option with my current job, so I pretty much spent like half the week in the office, half the week at home anyways. So the transition to just working from home wasn't really that big for my position, but for a lot of us it was. For a lot of companies who, especially the companies that fought it, and I've been at those companies, so I know how it is, it was like it's real crazy right now. It's real crazy. And a lot of them aren't understanding how to transition from a office culture to a work from home culture. Can't be the same, can't have the same expectations. You, especially as an employer, cannot have the same expectations with this climate. And I'm pointing because my TV is that way, but with this climate, with what's going on in the news, you can't. And my job has really given us grace, and I think they've done a pretty good job. But we're working with COVID. My organization actually supports funding and all this and research and all these things. And my job as the communications director is to publicize all that and get it out to the media. And so I'm working with it. I'm just working from home. I'm working remote, but I'm in it. So it's not slow for me right now at work. But again, like I said, they gave us grace. I just had the last 3 days off. My daughter was on spring break, but honestly, and I didn't really know that initially when I planned it, like all this would be going on when I planned those few days, but wow, did I need it? Working from home, yeah, sure, but I needed some days off, because it's one thing to be working from home and it's a whole nother thing to be working from home. And I'm supposed to be teaching kids, or my daughter. I have a 8-month-old, so but still, got to do stuff. And that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I'm not teaching him like school stuff, but I'm raising him like, how babies are. He wants to be on his mom, and I'm trying to work and I'm trying to do conference calls, which I'll get to that in a moment. But I really just think to employers, you have to offer your employees grace. We are all, whether you're working from home with kids or not, it's a transition. A lot of us are used to socializing, at least having like some social outlet, talking to coworkers, just being home, not able to go out for lunch. So I wanted to offer some tips because I know that this transition, and also back to Secretary of Shade. I know I skipped over that really quick earlier. So before I get into my tips, I want to just touch back on that. Secretary of Shade is a great YouTube channel. He's funny, he's hilarious. And, sometimes I like to, everybody knows I love laughter. Pretty silly person myself. So anyways, his channel is right up my alley, and he talks about the current events in a funny way. But one thing he said is that we really need to call for like a mental health day. Well, he didn't say call, but I'm saying we need to call for one, because I feel like our whole country is really going through so much trauma right now, and we're not, and then we're expected to just still like pick up and boom, back to working. And now we're teaching kids. And now we found out just a few days ago, our governor here in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, shout out to her, just announced that our kids aren't returning back to school. And so that means no, they're not going to school, no summer camp, so they're home through the summer. And like I said, I'm a former teacher, and I have anxiety about that. And I was thinking yesterday, I think a big source of that anxiety is because I know what it takes to really make amazing scholars. And yes, I can do it. But it's going to be, it's a lot. It's a lot on parents. And it's a lot on parents, especially parents who are still working. And if you're not working, you're probably stressed. Maybe you got laid off. I don't know the situation. But, working from home, you're still working. And then the conference calls, whew. I'm gonna have to really, because I'm gonna be honest. Last week I was not that productive. Hopefully this week I'm working on my productivity, and every week it's just kind of like figuring out like a more of a balance because it's so new for everybody, so new for everyone, and just really figuring out a balance. Um, and then like the conference calls, like something's like we're all gonna have a moment at these companies, these employers, because I think we really need to slow down and take stock. Maybe a few days, like just to like chill for a minute and like reassess and get a handle of our schedules, because we've just been going, and in the midst of all this, we're looking like people are dying. People are dying closer and closer and closer to us. Some of us have had loved ones die, husbands, wives, children, whatever. The numbers are there for a reason. So, these are real people, real numbers. And I know here in Detroit, I feel it very close. And so I'm calling for a National Mental Health Day. I think we were all about mental health. And now it's like, like I said, I'm fortunate to be at one of the organizations that kind of gets it. But a lot of these organizations don't get it. And I see the comments. I'm in a lot of, Facebook groups. Black on the Job is one of them. And, even my Sisters with Vision group, which if you look in the comments, I always have the link below. Also, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and click the little bell so you can get notifications when I do videos, because since I have free time, I will be doing videos almost daily. Almost daily. Why not? Why not? While in quarantine. But I'm really calling for Mental Health Day on all levels. I mean, just a day even to just recognize, like, as a country, as a nation, our president needs to call for what we are going through. I say a week. I think we need a good week to adjust to everything, because this is too much. But on the bright side, hopefully every day we're getting closer to this being over. That's how I look at it, because honestly, it's a lot. And it's about to be summer in Detroit. It's going to be interesting to see if people can be still on lockdown or whatever, all these orders in the summer. So I know they were out yesterday, and it was just a 60-degree day. So anyways, I wanted to get into some tips before I get too sidetracked on just some ways to transition and make the adjustment from working from home, some tips and some advice that I have for you. And then I'm going to do another video separately. I was thinking about also the kids. Obviously, I'm a former teacher. I have a daughter. Again, I also have, I advocate for internet wellness. The link for that page is also down in the little summary section below. You can find the links for that page and some other resources as well. But I'm going to do a separate video on how to work from home with kids, how to teach from home, how to teach kids from home, some tips and everything like that. But at any rate, again, call for National Mental Health Day, hashtag Mental Health Day, hashtag Mental Health Week. We need that in our country. So maybe if we all start having that conversation with our employers, being honest about how overwhelmed we are, because the reality is we are all in the boat. If I'm in the boat, we're all in the boat. 'Cause like I said, I'm a former teacher. I'm planning ahead. I know, right, like today, I'm going to have to plan for the week for her. And that's great. And I love it. But listen, I know some jobs I have heard are giving their employers like a day off now. Just to kind of like, because they know, and you don't know, you don't understand, like people, like I have a young baby, everyone has all these different age children. Some have like 4 kids. Listen, grace is going to be really key to these employers after this crisis is over, also retaining their employees. Because listen, millennials are not having it. And if you think millennials aren't having it, wait till Gen Z. They're new. They're here now, right? Not having it. So listen, and the nurses too. Bless their hearts. Like, wow, the breaks they're going to need after this, they're going to need a whole month off. Just give them a month. Like, I don't know, leaves, whatever, paid leaves, because doctors, paid leaves, call for it. We need to start asking for stuff, because this is too much. It's a lot. And I'm praying for everyone every day, and I really feel it, so anyways, back to the topic, National Mental Health Day. Let's call for it. And now working from home, some adjustments, how to transition during this period. So one thing, first of all, teledoc you a therapist. It's fantastic. You can Zoom with your therapist or whatever. Maybe not Zoom, because is having a situation right now. But you can teledoc with your therapist. You can look up all therapists are available online. Maybe you're not in therapy right now. You can find one online if you have insurance. Or I think even if you don't right now, you can teledoc a therapist. So teledoc, again, is the virtual way of communicating with the doctor and all of that. It's fantastic. And I really recommend all of us get one during this time. Now, your therapist might be going through some things too. But again, just because someone else is, going through things doesn't mean they can't help you. And I think that we all could use maybe having an outside conversation with someone during this time. So I really, really suggest that and recommend that. Because we're dealing with, it's just too much trauma. It's a lot of trauma right now. I'm having a schedule. I know a lot of us, even me, I'm like a free spirit. So I do what works for me. I'm usually a very nimble person, but I do kind of overall have a general, like the bones of the day kind of like there. But I say definitely have a schedule, especially if you are working from home with kids. Make sure there's a wake up time, more breakfast time. Try to keep the schedule, honestly, as normal as possible as it had been for school, in my opinion. Obviously, there's going to be some changes. For example, I do block teaching. So we do like English for a couple hours, math for a couple hours, science for a couple hours in the afternoon, or social studies. We do outdoor time, all that. But make sure you have a schedule. Because if not, these kids are going to be asking you for snacks. Like, they're going to be asking you for snacks all day. All day. That's all they're going to do. So make sure that you, have a schedule. I'm going to actually have a link in the comments below to my girlfriend. Shout out to Joanna. She has a wonderful site, Birdie Boutique, and she offers a ton of resources. I think she has over 200 printables, etc., websites, and sample schedules if you don't already have one or you might need a better one. Like, I'm kind of adjusting mine sometimes too to see what works from week to week too. But overall, it's pretty much been the same. But definitely check that out, and I'm going to put the link down below. But make sure you have a schedule. And make sure too, your Google is your friend, using resources to find things to fill up your day. There are so many activities, and you don't have to use hundreds of dollars of printer ink. You can literally, there are things right in your home right now that your kids can use. I'm sure they have, or maybe not, whatever, but toys, things they could use. The dollar store is still open, so you can run out and get a few little cheap crafts. But again, the link to a lot of those things and more are in the comments below with that link for Birdie Boutique. So check that out. And also follow her page. She has some cool, if your kids are struggling with reading or learning words and things like that, or wanting to learn sight words, which a lot of our kids are at that age where they're learning sight words. She has these amazing blankets with sight words on them, and they're beautiful colors, designs, just the coolest things, as well as car seat ponchos. So just check it out. Check it all out. But back to this, definitely having a schedule. And about technology, you got to have a schedule because you want to build in that technology. You don't want your kids on the iPads and asking for snacks all day. During the school day, we do use technology because I do have times built into the schedule where we might, that it might allow for, we do the scholastic learning once a week. The same way, she might do the book once or twice a week. As a component. Starfall is a great website, ABCS. So we use it throughout the day here and there, maybe throughout the school day for a total of like an hour, if that. But it's all very educational. Beyond that, my daughter has to earn screen time. I have my own chart at home, but again, I'm going to, you can also find a helpful chart on that Birdie Boutique site. But, really having some way that they're earning screen time. Have they completed all their schoolwork? Was it satisfactory? Did they go have outside time? I think that's important, building in that outdoor time. I think twice a day now, if you can. Just letting them get outside, get some fresh air. It's so important. It's important for you too. Make sure you're building breaks within your day. That's another thing. Build in breaks in your day. I'm going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to talk about both schedules. So parents as well need to build breaks in their day and have a schedule for themselves too. Along with the kids. But when it comes to the kids, making sure they have a schedule is extremely important. Making sure you have tech. When it comes to adults, we too need to have a schedule just like the kids. Just like the kids, we also need to make sure that we have a schedule, that we're waking up, having breakfast, having that coffee, just like we did when we were working. Okay, let's not skip over it. Got to eat. Because sometimes when you're working from home, you're working harder because you don't want them to think you're lazy. I know how it is. I know I do. I also know that I work from home harder because sometimes I know for a fact with these kids home, I'm not as productive during the day. So at night, I might be on my computer from like 7 to 9 or 6 to 9. You see, so it's like it's really unorthodox right now. But my job does allow for that. Some of your jobs don't allow for that. They still want a 9 to 5, which is like, really, you know. But making sure you have a schedule, making sure you're eating, making sure you're taking lunch breaks. The way I work it out is this. This is what I've worked it out. And shout out to Mother Honestly, which is another really helpful page. I follow them on Instagram. But this is how I do it. So I wake up in the morning. I don't start work till 9 o'clock typically. I work for a couple hours, take a break, like an hour, like a break. Work for a couple hours, take a break. I also set aside like an hour throughout the day to respond to emails, because if not, I'm responding all day, because people are at home now. So I'm getting more emails, I feel like, than I was before. So I make sure that I set aside a time to respond to those emails, get back to them. But yeah, I work for maybe 2 hours if I can in a block. But in those 2 hours, I'm also still managing a household. I also have a husband that, wants lunch cooked. Like, he helps too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we work together, but, people have to eat still, It's just a lot. So making sure that you're eating, making sure you have a schedule, making sure, for me, I think a designated time to respond to emails is very helpful. That definitely has helped me during my day. But just making sure I have a schedule where I'm definitely eating, definitely taking breaks, getting up, walking. I go outside. When my daughter has recess, I have recess. It is what it is if I can, unless I have like a really important conference call. I really try to design my day in a way that I'm having breaks, that I'm really also thinking about and taking into account my mental health through all of this. And if you're not, talk to your employer about it. Talk to your employers. If we all start talking, because they're feeling it too. They have families too. They're working from home too. Everyone's life, like, we all have to really give each other grace during this time. Hashtag mental health week. Something. Take a break. Rest week. Something needs to happen. So, turning off. A lot of times when working from home, I talked a little bit just a moment ago about how, because I'm not as productive during the day, because I'm managing still a household, in addition to trying to manage all my job duties, I might pick up a lot at night. But you have to find that time to turn off. You have to unplug, and it's part of being an internet wellness advocate. I really do advocate for that. And I try not to do that on my own end. Like, I shut it off. I have a time, like I said, I start at 9, having a start time and having an end time. When you're going to, like, shut off that computer and have that work done is super important. And I really recommend that. Relaxing, having real lunch breaks. But overall, we really have to give ourselves grace during this time. And that's what I want to push for. Making sure that we're checking in on loved ones as much as possible with phone calls. Because there is I like to see the positive in this too. A lot of us were taking our loved ones and family members for granted prior to this. And I hope we don't after this, because I know I'm not. Note to self, I'm not. And so, like I said, keeping the normalcy as much as possible, but being honest with employers is going to be key for us all getting through this time. Being honest about our feelings. And we all really have to understand and recognize we're all going through trauma right now. We all really have to be there for one another and be kind to one another. Stay home, wash our hands, be safe. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Again, I'm going to do another video about more specific for parents of kids. But yeah, I'm thinking about us all. I'm thinking about the people with kids. I'm also thinking about those of us that don't have kids, that are at home alone right now. Like, that's hard too. Like, I couldn't imagine, like I was telling my husband, I would have went crazy for sure if I was like still like living by myself, like not married, like before I got married, living by myself. I would probably really go crazy with a whole nother set of things probably, so, we all have our challenges right now. It's going to be all how you look at it. That's going to get you through. Mind over whatever is the matter. It's one of the things I like to say, but it's going to take us being honest, but also understand that we're going to get through this. I do know that, and I do think on the other side it will be better, because some things did need to be reset. I just hate that the virus had to be the reason. But here we are. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. I went a little longer than I'd like to, but if you stayed the whole time, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or have anything that you'd like me to talk about, while in quarantine, you can also include that in the comments. Again, check out those helpful links that are down in the description below. Thank you so much, guys. And I know that was a lot, but thanks for tuning in. Again, praying for us all. We will get through this. Thanks, and I will talk to you soon.